One of the biggest money drains in your life is hiding in plain sight. And no, it's not your daily coffee, your streaming subscriptions, or that one app you forgot to cancel. It's something most people interact with almost every single day without questioning the real cost. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what that expense is, why it quietly destroys wealth, and how understanding its true components can save you thousands of dollars every single year. More importantly, we'll talk about what happens when you redirect those savings toward things that actually grow your money instead of shrinking it. First, you need to understand that most households spend money in the same major categories: housing, transportation, taxes, utilities, food, and everyday living costs. If you can make smarter decisions in just one of these areas, the impact on your finances can be massive. So here's a quick question. Which expense do you think varies the most from person to person? Which one is socially celebrated, emotionally justified, and rarely challenged? That answer is transportation. Specifically, the true cost of owning a car today now. Cars are one of the most overlooked wealth killers in modern life, and the reason has very little to do with the car itself. It has everything to do with what cars represent in society. For decades, we've been conditioned to associate success, stability, and even intelligence with the kind of car someone drives. A nicer car signals that you've made it. A new car signals progress. And because of that pressure, many people end up buying vehicles that stretch their finances far beyond what makes sense. The problem is that these decisions rarely feel irresponsible in the moment. Nobody calls buying a car reckless. Friends congratulate you. Family members say you deserve it. Dealerships design the entire experience to make the purchase feel normal, exciting, and justified. But what rarely gets discussed is the long-term financial impact that decision quietly creates. Most people only think about the monthly payment. If the number fits into their budget, they move forward. What they don't see is the total cost layered underneath that payment, and how those layers compound over time. This is why cars quietly drain wealth while sitting right under our noses. To understand this, it helps to zoom out and look at how households spend money. Most people spend across the same major categories: housing, transportation, taxes, utilities, food, and general living expenses. Some of these categories are relatively fixed, others vary slightly. But transportation stands out because it varies dramatically from person to person, even among people earning the same income. Two neighbours can earn the same salary, live in similar homes, and eat similar food, yet have wildly different financial outcomes based on how they handle transportation. One drives a paid-off, reliable car. The other finances a newer, more expensive vehicle. Over time, that single decision creates a growing gap in savings, investments, and financial flexibility. Recent trends have only made this problem worse. Vehicle prices have risen significantly over the past few years, especially in the used market. Financing terms have stretched longer. Interest rates have climbed, and monthly payments that once felt extreme are now becoming normalized. It's not unusual to hear about people paying sums that rival rent just to drive to work. On top of that, dealer markups on high-demand vehicles have pushed prices even further away from reality. In some cases, markups alone rival the cost of an entire used car. Yet despite all this, demand remains strong, largely because of emotional decision-making and social pressure. To see how this plays out in real life, consider a realistic example. Take a modest, reliable vehicle that most people would agree is sensible. Not a luxury car, not a sports car, just a practical sedan that's a few years old. When you look at the true cost of ownership over several years, the number is eye-opening. Ownership costs don't stop at the purchase price. They include depreciation, taxes, fees, financing interest, fuel, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. When these are added together, even an affordable car can cost thousands of dollars per year to own and operate. Now, compare that cost to income. For someone earning an average salary, Car ownership can quietly consume a significant portion of gross earnings. That's money that could have gone towards savings, investments, or debt reduction. Instead, it's being funneled into an asset that steadily loses value. This doesn't mean owning a car is irresponsible. For many people, it's necessary. But necessity doesn't eliminate opportunity cost. Every dollar allocated to transportation is a dollar that isn't working elsewhere. One of the biggest contributors to this problem is depreciation. Most vehicles lose value over time, and they lose it quickly in the early years. The moment a new car leaves the lot, its value drops. That loss isn't theoretical. It's real money that disappears without providing any additional utility. This is why treating a car as an investment is a mistake. Investments are expected to grow or generate income. Cars do the opposite. They require continuous input of money just to function, while their resale value steadily declines. Understanding depreciation curves helps reveal where the damage happens. The steepest drop in value typically occurs in the first few years of ownership. After that, the curve begins to flatten. The vehicle still loses value, but at a slower pace. This is why buying slightly used often makes far more financial sense than buying new. Beyond depreciation, financing adds another layer of cost. Most people don't buy cars outright. They borrow. That borrowing comes with interest, and as interest rates rise, so does the total amount paid over the life of the loan. A lower monthly payment achieved by extending the loan term often results in paying far more overall. Fuel is another cost that's easy to underestimate. Small monthly amounts add up over years of driving. Even efficient vehicles require ongoing spending, and fuel prices tend to fluctuate upward over time. Insurance operates similarly. It's a recurring cost that most people accept without revisiting, even though rates can often be reduced with regular review. Repairs and maintenance round out the picture. While some costs are unavoidable, others can be managed with basic knowledge and proactive care. But regardless, they represent additional money flowing out year after year. When all of these factors are combined, the true cost of car ownership becomes impossible to ignore. And this is only the direct cost. The indirect cost, the lost opportunity to grow wealth elsewhere, is even larger. This is why transportation quietly becomes the #1 wealth killer for so many people. Not because cars are bad, but because they are expensive, emotionally charged, and rarely questioned. Once you recognize how expensive cars truly are, the next step is understanding where the money goes and which parts of that cost you can actually control. Not every expense is flexible, but many are more adjustable than people realize. Depreciation remains the single largest expense for most vehicles. While it's unavoidable, it can be managed. The biggest mistake people make is paying a premium for newness. New cars feel better, smell better, and come with the latest features. But financially, that premium is brutal. Buying a car that's a few years old allows someone else to absorb the steepest loss in value while you still get a reliable vehicle. There's a practical window where value and reliability intersect. Cars that are a few years old with moderate mileage tend to offer the best balance. They've already experienced the sharp depreciation drop, but they're still modern enough to avoid constant repairs. Choosing within this range can save thousands without sacrificing usability. Taxes and registration fees are harder to avoid, but they scale with the value of the car. More expensive vehicles come with higher taxes and fees year after year. In households with multiple vehicles, this becomes even more pronounced. Reducing the number of cars owned, even by one, can free up surprising amounts of money annually. Financing deserves special attention because it's where many people quietly lose control. Interest payments don't feel painful in small monthly doses, but over time, they accumulate into significant sums. Longer loan terms, lower monthly payments, but increased total cost. High interest rates compound the damage further, especially for buyers with weaker credit profiles. Fuel costs, while obvious, are often underestimated. Many people mentally separate their car payment from gas, even though both are required to drive. Over several years, fuel spending can rival or exceed other ownership costs. While switching vehicles or fuel types isn't always realistic, small efficiencies do add up. Insurance is one of the most overlooked opportunities for savings. Many drivers stick with the same provider year after year without shopping around. Yet insurance companies compete aggressively for customers, often offering better rates for identical coverage. A simple annual review can lead to meaningful savings. Maintenance and repairs are often framed as unavoidable, but knowledge plays a major role here. Basic maintenance tasks can be learned, and even understanding common issues can prevent unnecessary trips to the dealership. Diagnostic tools, online tutorials, and second opinions reduce the risk of overpaying. Beyond the direct costs, it's critical to understand opportunity cost. Money spent on car ownership isn't just gone. It's money that never had the chance to grow. If even a portion of those funds were redirected toward investments, education, or business opportunities, the long-term impact could be dramatic. Consider what happens when consistent annual spending is invested instead. Over time, compounding turns modest contributions into substantial assets. This is the invisible cost of car ownership that rarely gets discussed. Lifestyle choices also play a role. Commute length affects fuel, depreciation, and time. Living closer to work may increase housing costs slightly, but reduce transportation expenses significantly. When evaluated holistically, these trade-offs often favour shorter commutes and simpler transportation setups. The key point is not to eliminate cars entirely, but to align car choices with long-term financial goals. When transportation decisions are made intentionally rather than emotionally, they stop draining wealth and start supporting stability. Most people never run these numbers. They make decisions based on monthly affordability and social norms. But wealth is built through awareness and consistency, not appearances. Cars are powerful tools. They provide freedom, access, and convenience. But when they are oversized, overfinanced, or emotionally justified, they quietly sabotage financial progress. The difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who struggles often comes down to decisions that feel small at the time but compound over decades. Transportation is one of the clearest examples of this dynamic. By choosing depreciation wisely, managing financing, reviewing insurance, and understanding opportunity cost, it's possible to dramatically reduce the financial drag cars create. This is not about deprivation. It's about alignment. When your transportation choices reflect your financial priorities, money stops leaking silently and starts working with you instead of against you. The final piece of understanding transportation as a wealth killer is recognizing how deeply normalized overspending has become. Expensive cars no longer stand out. They blend into everyday life. Parking lots, highways, and social media feeds are filled with vehicles that represent years of financial commitment, yet rarely prompt deeper questions. This normalization makes it difficult to pause and ask whether a purchase truly aligns with long-term goals. When everyone around you is upgrading, downsizing feels like falling behind. But financial progress is rarely visible in the short term. It happens quietly, behind the scenes, through restraint and intention. One of the most powerful strategies for escaping this cycle is reframing success. Success isn't what you drive. It's what you own, control, and can sustain without stress. A reliable, paid-off vehicle offers flexibility that an expensive, financed one never will. Flexibility creates options. Options reduce stress. And reduced stress improves decision-making across every area of life. Another overlooked benefit of modest transportation choices is resilience. When income changes, emergencies arise, or opportunities appear, lower fixed costs provide breathing room. High car expenses remove that buffer, locking people into obligations that limit their ability to adapt. Over time, this rigidity compounds. Missed investment opportunities, delayed savings, and increased reliance on credit all trace back to decisions that once felt harmless. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Understanding the full cost of transportation allows you to make trade-offs consciously rather than accidentally. You might still choose a nicer car, but you'll do so knowing exactly what you're giving up. That clarity is powerful. It shifts decisions from emotional to strategic. And strategy is what separates consumption from wealth building. Transportation doesn't destroy wealth overnight. It does it slowly, invisibly, and consistently. That's what makes it so dangerous. The damage isn't dramatic enough to trigger alarm, but steady enough to prevent progress. When people wonder why saving feels impossible despite decent income, transportation is often the missing piece. Reducing this one category can unlock progress everywhere else. The wealthiest individuals tend to be intentional about what they spend on things that don't grow. They understand that every dollar has potential, and wasting that potential repeatedly has consequences. Cars will always be part of modern life, but they don't have to be financial anchors. With informed choices, they can simply be tools, nothing more. The difference lies in understanding the system, resisting unnecessary upgrades, and prioritizing future freedom over present validation. Once you see transportation clearly, it becomes impossible to unsee it. And that awareness alone can change the trajectory of your financial life. So to recap, number one, if you are planning to buy a car, try to buy it in the sweet spot of the depreciation curve, which is usually 3 to 5 years used. Number two, shop around for insurance every single year because rates change more than people realize. Number three, if your household has multiple vehicles, seriously consider reducing your fleet. And number four, think about living closer to work or reducing your commute, where possible. All right, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to subscribe and check out my free newsletter. The link is down below. I share simple money ideas twice a week. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.